One man is about to change life in San Antonio. A report came out that there's been a training camp going on off season, and one of the leaders is the vet of all vets. We break down why that is important and what this means for the future of the Spurs this season here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. Take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment moving forward. So there was a tweet that came out that was really a reportive tweet from Brandon Scoop B. Robinson. It reads, there's multiple parts to this. We're going to break down the entire thing. San Antonio Spurs ran an off-season training camp this week in Texas, and one of their biggest participants in it was Chris Paul. CP3 spent the last week in San Antonio familiarizing himself with the Spurs playbook, coaching staff, and players who also worked with the seasoned vet. Chris Paul. This guy is one of the oldest players in the league. He does not need to be doing this. He is a made man. He is already the second best point guard of a generation behind Steph Curry. He has already done everything you possibly can do but win a championship. He has been All-NBA first team. He has been close in MVP running. He's gotten his own team to conference finals. He's made playoff pushes. He's beaten massively good teams like the Spurs Game 7. Don't want to talk about it. Still hurts the heart a little bit. But Chris Paul has been a professional of all professionals and a pro of pros. This guy is immersing himself here, as you see, with the San Antonio Spurs roster and the organization. The tweet goes on to say, CP3 is not just being a vet. That's mentoring young people. But he's also looking to compete. When you have the guy who is the most ready, most made man, the Hall of Famer, competing at a high level, going into practice every day, getting through practice, bringing the intensity and the effort, it's going to bring those young guys to be like, oh, practice does matter. It's not just about the games. These practices matter. Getting better matters. This competition matters. It goes on to say, folks that I have spoken with are banking on CP3's presence in San Antonio, being familiar to his role with the Oklahoma City Thunder a few years ago with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and many others. And there have been some multiple quotes that have come out. Terrence Ferguson, who was a part of that 2019-2020 Thunder team, he said he's definitely a leader. He takes us to dinner, just team bonding things. Just those team bonding things making us connect off the floor, which makes things easier on the court when we're playing. And as you see, he's immersing himself there with Gregg Popovich, trying to get himself within the Spurs organization. And as I was talking about, what does he have to prove? What does he have to show and prove? This guy, 9-time All-Defense, All-Star Game MVP, Rookie of the Year, All-NBA first team, second team, third team. He's part of the 75 greatest players to ever touch a basketball floor. And it was no question. It's a no-brainer. He's closer to top 50 than he is to 75. This guy can do no wrong. He can do really whatever he wants to do. He wasn't the only one that spoke on him. Ferguson. We had Billy Donovan said, you need somebody who's going to bring the group together. And he's done that since training camp. And I really think that's been impactful for our team. He said training camp. Obviously, this isn't training camp, but this is an off-season training camp. And what he's doing currently right now is bringing this team together at a high level, doing what true leaders do, doing what Chris Paul himself does. He is going to continue to mature, and the timetable and the time span for this team is going to just keep growing and keep growing because of the fact that Chris Paul is on the roster. And again, the final parts of this tweet says San Antonio is expecting a monster season from Victor Wembanyama after a strong rookie campaign and a stellar showing in the 2024 Olympics in Paris. Exciting times are ahead in San Antonio with the Spurs official training camp start next month. And just wanted to show a little picture. Obviously, the respect there between Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. We know last year what Chris Paul was able to do and put to forth. It was 9 points. It was 7 assists in 26 minutes per game. Shot well from three, 37% from three for the entire season. Wasn't great with corner threes, and a lot of the threes were assisted on, and we're going to see that being a continuing theme with the ball being in Victor Wembanyama's hands a lot. But I love what I'm seeing here. When you saw him go, obviously he took those New Orleans teams to a next level. They peak at a championship finals run, or conference championship finals run against the Los Angeles Lakers in 2010. I believe they lost in 6 games to the Lakers there on their way to repeat. Cool. Then we go to Houston, or we go to the Clippers. With the Clippers, he elevates that team. If it's not him getting hurt, it's Blake Griffin getting hurt. Obviously, they had the legendary 7-game series where he did have the game winner against some team. I'm not going to name them, unfortunately, guys. But he has that run with the Clippers. They're just not able to get over the hump. Obviously, they blow the 3-2 lead to the Rockets where they have their bench players coming in. So he's been in multiple situations to where playoff-wise, he was able to elevate teams, but the Clippers, he wasn't able to get over the hump. Then he goes to Houston. If he's not injured, maybe they are able to upset the Golden State Warriors, but he does get injured. Game 6 and Game 7 go the Warriors' way. They go on to repeat there. You get to the Thunder, and now you're on the Thunder. That team wasn't supposed to be as good as they were. They had Shai Gilgeous, who was just in his second year, similar to Wemby, a guy, a lot of talent, obviously not the same talent level as Wemby, but a guy with a lot of talent that people were like, okay, he could be something. And he upticked from 10 points to 19.7, and then from there has progressed into the Shai we know today, which is one of the top 5 players in the league. From there, then he goes to Phoenix. What does Phoenix do? Phoenix goes from being a good team. We saw them in the bubble. They were playing good basketball. They won 8-0 in the bubble, but they didn't end up making the playoffs. And then they go into a finals run. They lose in 6 to Giannis, but a lot of that was because of the leadership and the growth with Chris Paul. He's able to take all of these teams and just elevate them to a next level. He's going to do that with the San Antonio Spurs team, and the thing that brings the most joy to it is he wants to. He wants to compete. He wants to play because he knows he's still got something left in the tank, and he wants to elevate all of these other guys. Stephon Castle, rookie, be able to show him the ropes, show him how to be a leader and how to be a guard in the National Basketball Association. Devin Vassell, grow his game, make him a more versatile player, make him a more well-rounded player offensively and defensively. Chris Paul knows a little thing or two about defense, which is 9 all-defensive teams. Then you got Tre Jones. Being a backup, I understand, but Tre Jones can still progress, still learn from Chris Paul. You've got all of these guys who are able to learn from Chris Paul because he is such a great leader. He's an extension of the coach, and this is just a great sign for things moving forward for the San Antonio Spurs. But let me know what you guys think about the San Antonio Spurs' future this season. How do you feel Chris Paul is going to mesh with these younger guys, and how do you think he's going to mesh with the overall team in San Antonio this season? But this was Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you guys soon.